So was this the most incident-packed Bledisloe Cup ever? And I thought you were going to score.
Ask a better question, you get a better answer.
Hi guys, welcome back. What a game. Australia 37, New Zealand 39. It came down to the end. New Zealand were up, then Australia came back in the first half, then New Zealand pulled ahead, Australia came back, and it came down to the last minute, and also some controversy as well. As a neutral, so exciting to watch. You guys, if you're an Australian and New Zealand fan, I'd love to know your emotions in that game and your thoughts on the big incidents, because there were plenty. The first 15 minutes though belonged to the All Blacks for sure. Just one sloppy restart from Australia at the beginning, and New Zealand were in there for a big spell of pressure. Line out looking great. Takiaho, Whitelock, Retallick good in the line out. Get a nice maul going, and then we get a shunt over for Takiaho. The guy has been an absolute hit since his intro into the All Blacks. A really nice touchline, a conversion from Mo'unga, so 0-7 out of the blocks, and then there is, a penalty as well. Mo'unga slotting it to make it 0-10. The scrum's demolishing the Australians. It's looking great. Interesting note here, a few dodgy calls or interesting calls early on from Matteo Reynal, the French referee. Jordan wins a nice jackal. Got a lot of time for Jordan, but his hands looked clearly on the floor before he went for the jackal, and I could see the ref looking at him the whole time. So that was interesting, but anyway, penalty to Jordan, but I was just picking up a few interesting calls from the ref very early. Early signs as well that Richie Mo'unga's quick feet causing Australia issues. Then Australia take about 17 minutes, but they get into the game finally, and it's Parecki with a lovely line out, fires over the top. Wright makes some ground. Really good stuff. They get an easy 3 from that. And Australia needed that just to get on the board and in the game, so 3-10. Then we get a try that looks like it's right out of the 1970s, although it is actually ruled out in the end, but Australia go old school with pick and goes, just up the guts making ground. Then it goes wide to the backs with loads of space. It does need a really good flick on pass though. I think that's from Foley. Let me know if I was wrong there. To release Kellaway, who looks for all money like he's in. But goodness me, what an amazing cover tackle from Rieko Ioane. No try. So that was a big moment where Australia really should have scored. The All Blacks already, they've actually lost 2 starters. That's worth noting here. Havili and Kane have had to go off, which isn't good for later in the game when they need to inject some energy maybe. Physically, it looks like the All Blacks have the edge in the scrum, but they do get a technical penalty, and that's compounded by a needless closing the gap penalty in the line out, just when they were doing pretty well, to be honest. And Australia get in the game, set up their biggest ball carrier, Valetini, who was an absolute beast in this game, crashes over from fairly short range, unstoppable stuff. And Papali'i's pretty much first act in the game is to get a yellow card as well for a collapse of the maul. So that's 3 big errors in a row when New Zealand were in a really good position and Australia are back in it 10-0. So the game is swinging already. And holy smokes, Valentini is an absolute beast, and straight away holding up Geordie Barrett in a tackle as well. So playing great, carries on playing great in the game. And what a fight back from Australia. Definitely their tails are up now for sure. And then we get Samu, who had another great game, flying through a hole. The All Blacks, their defence fans out too quickly. Samu spots it and just rips the ball and literally runs up the middle. So that's not great for the All Blacks there. You've got to obviously protect that contact area first of all before you fan out. The human missile, which is Corambetti, or formerly known as Corambetti, puts in his obligatory human missile shoulder charge. Were there any arms involved? I don't know. But again, referee didn't pick it up. So you're starting to think, hang on, is he going to pick stuff up here? I think Corambetti just plays angry because a minute later he's on the attack, busting tackles. So, he does some ridiculously amazing stuff, but definitely on the edge sometimes. Australia have all the momentum now. Sure, the All Blacks are down a man, but Australia have the line at their mercy. But absolute rabid scramble defence from the All Blacks. That was seriously impressive at that point. Push Australia back and win a penalty. That was absolutely fast, a massive moment. Plus that non-try for Kellaway. I think Australia would have wanted to be up in this first half, actually, after those 2. Then we get some more incidents. It's Clark that makes one of his beast mode breaks, which is fantastic. But then we get a yellow for right on the break there. And then we get a bit of a sickening moment, the sort of thing that makes you feel pretty nauseous when you see it. Swain looks like he's an MMA fighter out to end Tapia's career, really. Targets the lower leg. And the ref and the TMO say he targets the lower leg. It looks horrible. The knee twists in a horrible way. He wraps his arm around. It doesn't look good at all. No, they say it as a deliberate targeting of the leg, and he only gets a yellow. Could easily have been a red. Love to know your thoughts. Swain may be getting a bit of a reputation now. Refs will certainly be watching for that, but just the way the TMO was talking and the ref was talking, I thought it might be a red, but a yellow. So I think Australia got away with one there, or certainly were a little fortunate. Takiaho looks like he must score after this, but it shows that having a physical 9 can be really useful, and Gordon holds up Takiaho, dislodges the ball. Fantastic there, another massive play before half-time, and somehow it's only still 10-all. Just after half-time, New Zealand know they need to make the most of this 15 versus 13 they've got on the pitch, and they do, just making Australia run out of numbers. Takiaho with his second try, although they do push that a little bit too far and concede a penalty, so it goes to 13-17. But New Zealand aren't finished there. On 48 minutes, the New Zealand maul just tears Australia to shreds, really flies up the pitch. Gordon cops a yellow, New Zealand smelling blood here, and Foley with his second of his missed tackles. I mean, tackling, defending isn't his thing. He attacked fantastically well in this game. But yeah, you do get some missed tackles from Foley, and that lets Mwanga, whose quick feet were definitely dangerous in that first half. He goes in for a good try, actually. I like that a lot. So 13-24, looking better for New Zealand. And New Zealand have this purple patch now. So on 54 minutes, confidence really high. They're catching everything. They're testing Australia with that running game. Takiaho carrying hard again. Boy, he's playing well. Then a couple of nice kick variations. Really like that. Both regathered from Will Jordan. I think it was a high ball followed by a chip. Yeah, and it was Beauden Barrett's chip. Beautiful weight. Jordan's pace sends him clear. Just classic Will Jordan try. This is looking fantastic. 13-31. And I'm just wondering, do New Zealand now play a bit sensible, play some territory and see this game out? Well, that's not what happened, but certainly in that purple period, it looked like a Joe Smith sort of attack where they really were varying it, not pushing it too much. I like that a lot. So on 57 minutes, I make a note that the All Blacks are well on top. And lucky that Lomax actually here is not carded for a clumsy tip on Fainga'a, so that could have been different as well. But everything's going their way. And actually they hook off Lomax quickly so he can't get into any more trouble. The All Blacks getting maybe a bit too excited, attacking from deep. And Australia, yeah, they're caught very narrow. They get a cross kick to Clark, who nearly breaks away. But I just feel they could have pinged the corners at that point as well and pinned Australia back and just kept that scoreboard pressure on. Then we get just what the doctor ordered for Australia. Like I mentioned, Foley's an attacker, not a defender. A great half break from him. Nice offload. Kellaway hitting a sick line to score. That's the prettiest try of the game for sure. So they're back to 11 points there. 20-31. The comeback maybe is on at this point, but you're still thinking All Blacks got some good points on the board. But Australia's scrum is starting to turn it around. Their line-out's coming up trumps. So a couple of useful penalties. They go 5 metres out. The maul actually is repulsed pretty well by New Zealand. But then Foley's attacking magic again. They get him lurking in deep. This time it's a lovely pass off his left hand. Fires a beauty to Kellaway, who makes no mistake this time. So that's 27-31. The All Blacks starting to be a bit rattled now. They take a penalty when they might have gone to the corner. They get it, to be fair. 27-34. Then it's inspired stuff from Corambetti and Samu. It's a 1-2-1-2, whatever that is. So it's Corambetti who feeds Samu, who slips the tackle on the wing. He feeds back to Corambetti, back to Samu. What an amazing try. It is level 34 all. I'm absolutely loving it. 5 minutes to go. Australia are just on an absolute roll. Valentini a beast in the tackle when the All Blacks are attacking okay, but again, this is a point where the All Blacks maybe could have pinged that midfield ball into the corners or a high ball or something, but they carried on playing. They got the penalty, but it is on halfway, and they call up Nick White, the pantomime villain Nick White, who booms it over as easy as you like from halfway. Australia ahead. 37-34, I'm thinking, is this going to be one of the best comeback wins in Bledisloe Cup history. But then what happens here? Just as Australia seems to have got the winning penalty in a tricky position, the ref pings Foley for time wasting. Now, my view on this, technically, yeah, you could call it time wasting, but refs hardly ever ping that. And also, why start pinging it in this situation when they're on their own goal line in the Bledisloe Cup? Just when it's so tight like that, would you choose to change the habit of a lifetime right there? I'm not so sure. Let me know what you think. If I was an Australian fan, I might have lost it at that point. But the ref had been building up with some interesting calls. So there we go. And then it's relentless phases from New Zealand. And to be fair, they work Geordie Barrett in well. He doesn't have a lot of space, but it's just enough to score against Corumbeti to get the win. What an incident-packed game. So now New Zealand really in pole position for the championship. But goodness me, Australia will fancy some revenge after that one. Let me know what you thought, and I'll catch you next time.